any citizen comments.
Okay.
We'll move right on in.
Yes.
Turn me on.
All right. I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's general committee meeting for April
Nice.
the 9th. Yes, I think I still have the eclipse in me, so I'm a little fuzzy. But yes, April 9th. I am Lee Peterson, Alderman from Ward 2, and with us on our committee is the Honorable Vice Mayor
Jim Waters, Ward 6.
and our other committee member.
Bob Garza, Ward 3.
Welcome, committee. And Jason, if you'd like to take us around the table
Sure.
with introductions, that'd be great.
You bet. Jason Gallo, Administrative Services Director.
Tamara Ingersoll, Finance Director.
Jesse Eckneroth, Chief of Operations.
Thank you, Amar. Karen Dixon, Alderman Ward 4.
Well,
No idea why.
Andy Gilly, Parks Director.
Keith Free, Planning Director.
Timothy Whitten, Planning Department.
Thank you all for being here. And we have no one signed up for citizen comments. So I would like to call this meeting to order.
so moved.
And have you all had a chance to review the agenda for tonight's meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay, we have a motion to accept the agenda.
in a second.
Second.
We have a proper motion from Mr. Garza to accept our agenda, and it's been seconded by Mr. Waters. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes. And we will go on to the minutes. Did y'all have a chance to review last month's minutes?
Yes.
Yes, I did, Mr. Chairman, but I'd like to speak on it, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. As I reviewed the April the 12th meeting, I am confused as to the
March the
comments.
12th.
As I reviewed the last meeting, which was April the 12th. I'm confused as to the comments.
Is that you or me?
Me?
Oh.
Excuse me, I'll cut it off.
That's a good reminder. From March the 12th,
Not starting
I
off.
believe you,
March the 12th.
yes.
What did I say, April? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm
sorry.
sorry, I'm sorry. That's the first boo-boo I made today. Okay, I was confused as to the comments that were made then, but it's not on the agenda this evening. I said in the March meeting, page 2, I would sponsor this ordinance, but I never heard anything about it, never heard another word. I want to read page 2 at the bottom, next to the last paragraph. There was discussion of why the liaison could not vote on their committee. The mayor explained that there was only one liaison on the committee, planning commission, that could vote. However, he said it could be changed. If so, you would have to do training. Someone would have to sponsor it to Bowman. Now, I think unless I lost my mind, I think I said I want to sponsor that at the last meeting. Did I not? Also, let me look here. When you're talking about if you would have to do the training, Mayor, what do you mean by training to be a liaison?
So on a couple of our committees, Board of Zoning Appeals, Planning Commission, the Stormwater Appeals Board, in order to, and there might be one or two other ones, you have to go through training that the state requires to serve on those boards. So if a liaison want to be a voting member, they would have to go through the training.
Can you explain to me why?
State law. Yeah, I wish I could tell you why, it's state law.
Why didn't I go to training when I was voted in Ward 6 Alderman?
It's a really good question. I mean, that state didn't require it.
Doesn't make sense.
Oh, I agree with you. The state doesn't, oh, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I can kind of explain on the planning commission. That is the state law. However, the liaison, the BOMA liaison to the planning commission, actually, they don't have to do the training because state law, for some reason, opts them out.
Okay.
But I'm not for sure about about the BZA.
Okay.
I'm not for sure if that training is required by a BOMA member. I think it probably would be. But the planning commission specifically, the BOMA member that serves on there does not have to, can opt out and not do the training.
It's encouraged.
It's encouraged, but everybody else is required to have it. That's correct.
Okay, I want to turn the page to number 3. Other business, Chairman Peterson said he could add liaison votes on the next meeting agenda, but it's not on tonight's agenda. Am I right or wrong?
That is correct.
Okay.
And
That's okay, it's okay, well, I'll be through in a minute, but it's not on there. Okay, then just for the record, for everybody, I'm not upset, okay? I'm not angry, but these 12 years has taught me to share my thoughts with my colleagues on any committee. I think I owe that to you, both of you. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, that's immaterial. I'll let it go. I don't want to fool with it anymore. Maybe it's not meant to be, but that's okay. I felt I should bring this up to you guys to let you know how I felt about it, because it looks like it's been pushed under the rug, and for the mayors and the chairman, if you want to send it to BOMA as a rejection, I'll be glad to do that.
It's still coming.
Huh?
It's still coming.
When?
We need to get over a couple things we have Lance working on right now.
It hadn't come before this committee yet.
Right. He still needs to write it.
Well, I don't want no part of it, okay? I don't think that's okay. Does it have to come before BOMA now? It hadn't been before general committee?
So we've decided to make it two separate things. One is the way that committee members get appointed, and the other is whether liaisons can vote. And we have to have Lance write up how that would happen for liaisons to vote.
Okay.
I have a question. I did listen to the last meeting and I went and looked at all the committees that we're talking about here, not Storm, and they all have odd numbers. So if we were able to vote, we could tie the vote. Then who breaks that vote? You really got me curious last time you spoke.
Good. I'm glad you listened to me.
So yeah, all of them have odd numbers. So again, I don't know how you'd solve that problem.
Okay. It's just been a thorn in my side for years.
I
And
understand.
I'm willing to forget it. Thank you. Mr.
no,
Chairman.
I appreciate you bringing that up. And we could add it to other business tonight. And when I was preparing for this agenda, and I should have looked back on the minutes and included that, but I did send a email to you and Mr. Garza asking if you had anything you wanted to add to the agenda. So thank you for not reading my emails.
Our computer's been down for about 6 weeks. So
We can add this to other business, or I promise I will add it to next month's agenda.
It's up to the committee.
I would like to discuss it further and get some more input. I would, definitely like to make sure that every liaison is properly trained and that training is made available for them if that committee requires training. I know it does for planning. We'll have to check on all the other committees.
Yeah, the beautiful Hendersonville requires us to go to Hawaii for training.
Can I join that committee?
It's up to you. If you want to bring it back, that's fine.
Okay, we can, let's add that to other business since we're talking about well, we've already approved the agenda. So we're going to have to add that to next month. But
That's fine.
if you have any more questions on last month's minutes, okay. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So move.
And second,
Mr. Waters has made a motion to accept minutes, and we have a second from Mr. Garza. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Okay, that passes. And we have approved the minutes from last month, and no one has signed up for citizen comments. We will move on to ordinances and resolutions. And our first one is reading of Resolution 2024-17, a resolution to apply for the local parks and recreation fund grant for Heritage Park. And Heritage Park is the one that is on Indian Lake Peninsula, used to be Beatty Farm. And I am sponsoring that, but luckily we have Parks Director Andy Gilley here. If you wanted to just let us know what this, it's the LPRF grant for Heritage Park is. And I think there's a 50-50 match.
So this LPRF grant is a 50-50 match with the state. However, you can use the value of the land as your match. So we're currently right now about to get back a appraisal on the property that we own. And whatever the value of the property comes back, that's how much we can apply for. So what I'm saying is that we would use the value of the match. If it says 3.5 million is the value, that's the size project we can do, and the state would give us $3.5 million.
So we don't have the appraisal back yet.
It is not back yet, no, sir. I expect it back any day. Hopefully it'll be back before this goes to Bowman in 2 weeks.
Andy, this almost sounds too good to be true.
Well, I would say it's atypical for a city to own a piece of property that's this value. So the land match part is usually not this valuable when it comes to these grants in terms of park property. Our hope would be that this would allow us to complete the whole park master plan that's on page 7. I think it's important that the money, we would have to appropriate the money on the front end, but it would be reimbursed and it would be a wash in the long term. It would also be important to note that when you do receive these grants, that property then becomes, we put a notice of limitation of use on it where it has to be used for recreation in perpetuity. Big word.
Question.
That means we couldn't turn around and sell it, put houses on it.
Either Andy or Jesse can answer this. Let's say it comes back 4 million. That's what we can apply for, 4 million grant?
To be used on this property, yes, sir.
That's what we're talking about, right
Yes,
here.
sir.
Will they accept any amount if it comes back 6 million?
Yes.
There's no limit.
But this grant cycle, typically, there was a limit on the LPRF grants of 500,000.
Yeah.
For this grant cycle, they are not putting a cap on what you can ask for, which tells me that they've either made the process so hard that not many people are applying, or they have more funds than available, because they have these cycles every 2 years. They kind of got a year off about 2021. The current grant we're in is a 2021 grant. We will be the first one with our rugby lights and soccer field. Will be the first 2021 project completed. That's why we're able to apply now. But for this cycle, they've said they're not putting a cap on it, which is very,
Okay, so
first time I've heard that.
so the match is 50-50. Let's say it comes back 5 million. Right?
Yes, sir.
We pay 50 of that. How do we come up with that money, Jesse?
We would appropriate it and then probably be on a reimbursement basis. So typically we spend those funds and then we submit the expenditures and we get reimbursed.
Great. Thank you.
So I tried to think of Heritage Park as one park, but it's basically 2 tracks at the moment. So this grant is for the city's portion, is that correct?
That is correct.
And I know that they wanted to put in parking lots, restrooms, passive trail. I don't have the list in front of me. Do we have an estimate on everything that the master plan is calling for our section?
It's estimated between $3 and $4 million.
Okay, so hopefully we will get $3 or $4 million. And let me talk about the other section, I think that's currently owned by the Friends of Indian Lake Peninsula. What are their plans with that property so this can be one cohesive park?
They are in the middle of a grant with the state also to create an ADA viewing area and trailhead. They've built already several walking and bike trails on the property. As soon as they get through with their grant, which hopefully will be this fall, their intention is to then turn that property over.
Oh, that's great news.
They can't turn it over while they're in the middle of the grant. They'll have to
Okay.
get it signed off on that it's complete.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I know that there's bike trails and walking trails, but the component that there's an ADA accessibility to, that's really encouraging.
Mhm.
Okay, so when do we apply for this grant?
We have a meeting coming up Friday, actually a phone conference. We feel like they're going to open applications in the middle of May. That's sort of why we're kind of sliding in on your agenda tonight so that it can come here and then go to Public Works in 2 weeks and BOMA in 2 weeks.
Okay, so when's the deadline for this grant?
We feel like we'll have to apply in May. I don't know the exact deadline.
Okay, and when would they award a grant if we,
Last time it took about 6 months.
okay,
So I look for probably fall, winter. for us to
yeah,
be
I
notified.
I try not to put the cart before the horse, but a lot of people keep asking, when's the park gonna open? And I tell them, I try not to always just say it's not open yet, because I know that there's we use it for cross-country events and things like that, but I know there's liability and it's just not open. We don't have the facilities yet. So just trying to get a kind of a ballpark when their portion is complete and it's given to the city, and then we have the accessibility to the grant. And how,
I would anticipate the hillside portion being open long before this. piece of
Okay.
property.
and if everything was go today, how long would construction take for the lower section?
I wouldn't, I'd say at least a year,
Okay,
at least.
but progress is being made, and that's exciting.
Yes, and as one of the people who pretty much helped get that bought, I kind of committed multiple times that as the parks director, I wouldn't come back here and ask for cash money until the land was at least paid off, which is not quite paid off yet. But this being a grant, I think is a great way to help get the property activated and developed out.
I totally agree. I know people are waiting to use it. Do y'all have any more questions about this LPRF grant for Heritage Park?
Have we applied for grants for this company before?
Yes, sir. We've been successful the last 2 times.
Two?
We got
Really?
the concession stand at Volunteer Park through LPRF grant, and currently we're the turf soccer field and rugby lights.
Good.
We've had good help from our local state delegation pushing us to the governor's. Governor has the final say on them usually. So,
This is a state grant through TDEC, correct?
yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 2024-17.
So second.
Okay, have a proper motion for Mr. Garza to accept resolution 2024-17.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yes.
Would y'all like to see it go to the board tonight?
Pardon?
Would y'all like to see it go to, it's not
Um,
typical that we would do something like this and you have to sell it a little bit, but if there's a little bit of urgency, and I think there's a little bit of urgency.
He wants to know if we want to send this to BOMA tonight and waive the 2-week rule.
Yeah, I do.
I kind of agree because if this application is due in May,
Let's get on it.
Time is of the essence right now. Yeah, I agree.
okay,
Yeah, I'm good with that.
yeah, Mayor, absolutely.
So if one of you all make that motion, we set the agenda, that'd be helpful. And then a little bit of explanation, I think would encourage the board to do it.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
certainly will. Okay, all those in favor of resolution 2024-17, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes unanimously.
You're gonna bring it up at Bowman, right?
I am.
Okay.
I definitely will. Our next item is reading of resolution 2024-18, a resolution to apply for the state of Tennessee Recreational Trails Program grant to fund a bicycle pump track in Veterans Park. And that's different than the LPRF grant.
Mm-hmm. It's 80-20.
It's also federally funded, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Andy, can you also enlighten us on this grant for the bicycle pump track?
It's in the same family as the LPRF grants through TDEC. The RTP grant is what the Friends of Indian Lake are currently using to build those trails at Heritage Park. We are not on that grant, so we have
Okay.
the ability to apply for this. Once again, they've not put a cap on it. I don't know if you all have been contacted or aware, but the last year plus, local biking community along with the Rotary Club has been raising money to construct a bike pump track, which there are examples of in your packet, I think. Yes, in the very back, there is an example of what one of those would look like. The location, we looked at several locations with the mayor, from over by the library to Memorial Park to a lot of different places, and we kind of landed on the most fitting place would be beside the skate park at Veterans Park. It seemed like it was kind of a similar use.
Agreed.
And also visible from the bypass, which actually does help us negate some not so good activity sometimes because that place is so visible. The 20% match would come in the form of in-kind labor and raised money through the Rotary Club that the bicycle community has already raised and have committed from people like Rogers Group to donate some in-kind materials and labor.
Oh, okay, so 80% is that state, and the 20% would usually be our part, but the Rotaries and the bicycle club.
Yeah, basically the bicycle club is not a 501c3, and they needed a friend to help them funnel their money that they raised, and the Rotary stepped up to help.
Well, this park is certainly worth the 20% that the city's portion, but that's exciting that the Rotary and others are stepping in to cover that cost for us.
Any idea how much they've raised so far?
They've raised about $30,000.
Yeah.
And they have from what I understand, the commitment from about 60,000 total in-kind materials and labor.
It's a nice bicycle community.
So Andy, there's no cap on this grant. How much do you think that we will
I
apply
think we're gonna
for?
probably apply for around 450,000.
Okay. And so what is the 20% portion for the city?
20% of 450,000?
Yes.
90,000.
Yeah, right at 90.
90,000, okay. And I'm sorry, you had just said that how much did the Civitan and Bicycle Club?
Rotary clubs in the biking community, they've got about 30,000 in cash and another 50,000 in in-kind materials and labor.
Okay,
You had 80,000 already together?
At least.
so that covers just about everything but 10 grand?
Yeah, Jim's got that.
And I feel
I've
like,
got that.
I feel like if this becomes reality in terms of us getting the grant, though.
I guess Jesse can help me on that one.
Okay.
I like this
Well,
project.
that's, yes,
Yeah.
this is a great project for the city, and what a cool looking park to have right next to the road too. So everyone will see
Well,
this.
the lifestyle with skaters and bikers is so
Mhm.
similar that it just works.
Just think what ward it's gonna be in. Oh,
You can ride your bike right down there and get on.
I'll get on it. I can get on.
Well,
I'm-
Andy, tell those groups in the Civitan and the Rotary that we appreciate helping bring this to the city.
I will do it. Thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2024-18.
So second.
Okay, we have a proper motion to approve resolution to apply for the State of Tennessee Recreational Trails Program grant to fund a bicycle pump track in Veterans Park.
All right.
And do I have a second for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we already did it.
Oh, perfect. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Waiting on you.
Thank you. I believe Mr. Waters seconded.
Yes.
Yes, he
Okay, let's move on to other agenda items, and big discussion we have is for fiscal year 25 city budget. And Jesse or Tamara, which
Yes,
one
sir.
of you would like to take the reins on that?
We're gonna do it together, thank you. So we've prepared a presentation, you guys have been given the draft general fund operating and special revenue fund budget. We went ahead and made just a slideshow presentation, which we will go over. We'll have some time at the end for any questions you have specifically, but feel free to stop us along the way if you have questions. This is the same presentation that went to public safety, and we'll go to finance and public works. And Tamara and I are just gonna tag. So first thing is what has changed since we originally saw the budget. The mayor asked for the addition of a trash disposal fund. And so this is a fund that accounts for trash services, both collection of revenues and for the payment to Waste Pro and to AAA. So that's been added. You'll see a reduction in property taxes as you would have a trash fee component and a reduction of property tax to be revenue neutral. There's been some minor revenue and expenditure adjustments besides that, but relatively minor. We added some details to the PIP fund. PIP is the half-cent sales tax that we're using for parks, infrastructure, public safety, and paving. And then we've updated some of the asset lines with details on what those funds are going to be spent for.
All right, revenues, this looks very similar to what you saw in the budget workshop that we had a couple weeks ago. The main difference on this, the property taxes, there's about $6 million that was reduced out of property taxes and has been moved to the new trash disposal fund as a trash fee. And then the only other change on the revenues was there was about $10,000 of additional revenue added for parks and recreation fees due to the increased fee schedule that they have coming up. And then the next slide is just a visual of the revenues. This does look a little bit different than the one that you saw at the budget workshop because we have moved about $6 million out of our property taxes for the creation of that trash fund. So we're now looking about 50% of our revenues coming from sales tax and 30% property tax. I think it still gives a really good representation that all of those other revenues are very, very minor in comparison to the two bigger revenue streams.
So by department, this is just a breakdown of what each department within the general fund is going to spend. You can see overall, it shows a reduction. That is largely because this line right here, disposal, is down to $380,000. That accounts for the Lynn landfill. But that's because this budget's proposing the trash fee to be in a separate fund. So the expense for trash collection is in a separate fund as well. Pretty minor changes from fiscal year 24 to 25, except for that disposal fund, which is in the draft budget. This is just a pie chart of what each department is spending. So it gives you a snapshot of where the money's being spent. So you can see the majority of it is public safety. So, police and fire are well over 50%. Public Works is the next biggest at 11%. And I think that encompasses paving, so that's a lot of material. Then we have central services at 8%, parks 6%, and all the other ones are pretty minuscule. So the priority of this budget, as it always is with the city, is with public safety, police and fire. This gives a snapshot of where the budget is for salaries and benefits by department. Again, you can see that public safety between police at 16.5 million and fire at over 13 million. They're substantially consuming the salaries and benefits of the city. Again, all the other departments are relatively small, with parks and public works being number 3 and number 4. But again, the majority of this is public safety for police and fire. And then this is a pie chart for total operating budget by type. So it shows how much is on salaries and benefits, how much is operations, assets, debt services, and community contributions. So again, the majority of this is salaries and benefits. That's going to be for public safety, police and fire is the main consumer of that.
All right, this shows a nice summary of our revenues and expenditures. A little bit different than what you saw at the budget workshop. We have currently in what's proposed here about $127,000 surplus. Keep in mind, this is a kind of a moving target. There's already been, since we put this together finalized it on Thursday last week, there's been a couple of additional items that have come to light that will be eventually, probably incorporated. The mayor also promised that we would present $58,000 surplus in the operating budget. And I don't know if you wanted to say
And
anything
so we
else.
also have the possibility, we don't know what the total share for Hendersonville will be of our emergency communication center yet. So obviously we like that surplus to stay, if not possibly grow, but that's not likely. If we do still have a surplus there above the $58,000, I'll start looking at additional COLA. I'll start looking at some of the items in fire and police that we weren't able to fund. I'll look at some things in public works we weren't able to fund. So don't think that that's a surplus that's going to remain where it is. It's going to move possibly up, possibly down.
In our last meeting, what was the surplus?
$111.
Yeah, okay. It could change even from this figure, couldn't it?
It could, especially since we don't know what our share of the emergency communication center is quite yet.
You mentioned that 58,000, is that for the lights?
Yes. So I
Okay.
promised you when we went ahead and funded the lights that we should fund next year, we could discount if we do it this year, that would make sure that we cover that cost of next year's budget.
And then nonprofit committee isn't meeting until tomorrow, so there will be some changes. What's in here presented is what everybody requested, not what they've recommended move forward. So
Okay.
And an important note, this is the general fund only. It's not all the special revenue funds, and it's only the operating budget. This is our recurring expenses, our recurring revenue. It doesn't take into account one-time projects. Those projects always have a deficit. We don't have a revenue source that's 100% for our projects typically. So you'll see non-operating budget in a deficit position, but your operating budget should be in a surplus position. So just keep that in mind.
And Jesse, I wanted to go back to revenues. Percentage, I don't know what page that is. Page 4. I was looking for the hotel motel tax. Is that included in all other revenues?
no, it's in a separate fund. So this is just the general fund revenues. The
Okay.
hotel motel is a completely separate fund. We actually have a slide on that
Oh, that's
towards the
perfect.
end. Yeah, that'll
Okay.
show the revenues and the expenses both for that.
All right, thank you.
So this is the snapshot of the city's debt overview. You see the column on the left is fiscal year 24. So that was outstanding debt as of fiscal year 24. The outstanding debt we'll have in fiscal year 25 is over $2 million less than what we had in fiscal year 24. The pie chart on the right shows that of our debt, 92% is going to pay down principal. So the vast majority of it, there's a sliver of 8% that goes towards interest. And so when we do the calculation on early payoff of debt, we actually make the city makes out better by investing the funds rather than paying that debt off early. There's some retirement penalties for early payoff on some of the debt. So we're in a very good position with the debt and actually better off to keep the money and invest it than to pay off our debt.
What would that look like for 26? I wonder how much more would come off the debt.
Yeah, we have a schedule actually in the draft that you receive. So I think everything retires, the debt retires by 2034. Everything's retired. So if you look at this page and the handout that we gave, it gives outstanding debt for every year.
Yeah, that's our payments for each year.
Give them copies.
They have them in there.
Okay.
They have them in there.
I just sat through this.
Yeah, I can, we have the total, we can give you the total debt per year. This is a schedule of our debt payments per year. But the debt is rolling off every year. So I think in 2034, 2035, we're completely retired. And depending on, the debt doesn't roll off evenly. Some years have bigger chunks than others where it rolls off, but we'll be prepared and provide that.
Just like to see the reduction every year. That looks good.
Yes, sir. All right, budget priorities. Number one is, the mayor had the priority of making sure this was a balanced budget. So when we talk about a balanced operating budget, that's a budget that's structurally balanced when recurring revenues, or a budget is structurally balanced when recurring revenues are sufficient to pay recurring expenditures. So that's what we just showed. We have over $100,000 in our operating budget. And our operating budget is that those recurring expenditures and revenue sources. Debt payoff. Again, we are paying off, we'll have over 2 million of debt reduction than compared to fiscal year 24. Increasing level of service, so we're continuing to tap into technology enhancements. You guys have seen the upgrade to the city website. We've recently launched Intergo. We're continuing to launch applications in the finance department where we can do EFT payments, do online submissions for folks who have planning applications or building applications. So we're going to continue to make that a priority and make it more user-friendly for the customer.
Real quick. So with this also, we will be debt-free in 2033, which we will not have been debt-free since 1975.
33.
Very
I'll
nice.
be here. You'll be here, won't you?
Mhm.
You will.
You will.
I'll still be sitting here.
You won't able to get up, will you?
No. That's good. I appreciate the fiscal conservative management that you have taken on, Mayor. We appreciate that. No one wants to be in debt. Yes, especially Jesse and Tamara for taking this head on, because like I said, no one wants to be in debt, but to be able to, be chipping away at this to get us in a stronger financial position as well. We really appreciate. That's exciting to see.
Yes, debt is a tool. It's definitely a tool that you can use, but we do good with doing well with our investment policy. So you guys, when you went out and we did some debt issuances, they're very low interest rates, so it's really good debt that the city has. Not much, but really good debt. Budget priorities, again, we're going to talk about equipment and assets. These are the pieces of equipment that are included in the budget. So central services, we're including HVAC and water heaters here at City Hall just due to age. In the Parks Department, a new skid steer, 2 new mowers, gator cart, HVAC unit, golf cart. Public Works, we're having a new limb truck and bucket truck. They're baked into this budget as well. In the State Street Aid, we have 2 plows and 2 salt spreaders for our big dump trucks, which are baked in. This is really going over general fund, but you will see that in State Street Aid as well.
We didn't take those off the budget.
We took them off mid-year, and so we put them in for the new year under State Street Aid.
Okay.
Because it's for the
That's, I think Mr. Garza brought up not having plows when,
In summer.
well, no, because you know, when we had all the ice and snow that nobody could have ever predicted. You know, I know we had 3 trucks out, but I think residents wanted 30.
They did. For all day of snow.
Yeah, so the dump trucks will have a much bigger plow, and the salt boxes that go on the back can hold substantially more salt than the
Okay.
existing trucks that we have, so it will be a substantial improvement.
Like to always plan ahead just in case.
Yes, sir. Codes Department, there's a new vehicle in there for their inspector. PD, 20 new vehicles and 2 message boards. This is gonna come out of that PIP fund, that half-cent sales tax. And then the fire department, a new fire truck, which is really close to $2 million. This is kind of come out of the PIP fund as well. 2 mid-size trucks for their inspectors, 2 boat motors.
Is that a ladder truck?
Yes, sir.
I thought they were only 1 million. Now they're 2 million.
No, the engines are $1 million.
Good.
So the engine apparatus, the $1 million, the ladder truck.
My goodness.
Until we buy the next one, and then it might be
Oh.
2.5 to $3 million. They're very expensive.
But your
Yes.
4th one is free.
Jesse, what is the message board?
That's like the signs that you see out on the road that say caution ahead, or, you know, tournament coming. So it's a little trailer that you can tow behind a truck, and it's got the digital board that you can set next to the road, so you can put
Oh.
a sign up,
Oh, okay.
like road work ahead,
Road closed.
road closed, something
Yeah.
like that.
Shorter turning distances on New Chapel Island Road.
Yeah. Caution.
Great.
So paving, that's a significant priority for this budget. The general fund has almost 3 million for paving, state's created $1 million. And the PIP fund, the half-cent sales tax, split between local roads of about 3.5 million and parks for 300,000. So in total, there's 7.7 million that is in this fund, in this fiscal year 25 budget for paving.
And that may change also. We've approached Rogers Group about getting a discount because we're going from 4 million to possibly 7 million. If there's a discount there, we'll probably go the whole 7 million. If not, then we might cut that back a little bit.
That's incredible. $4 million extra for paving.
We really should have about 6 million, probably about 5 years ago. And we're just now gonna be getting over 6 million.
Great.
And as Mr. Garza mentioned, this was also helped significantly on potholes, because the more that you address the streets with new paving, potholes aren't an issue. Trash collection, that's stating the obvious, but with a, you know, approximately 36% price hike, it's a significant budget priority that we have to overcome now at the expense of it. No new positions, so within this budget, there are no new positions for any department at the city. We will have a organizational chart and a running list of all staff who are authorized, the positions who are authorized by department and position. And there is a 3% cost of living, or as we refer to as a COLA adjustment, that's in the budget for all employees. I think Social Security is a little north of 3%, but we have a 3% that's baked into this budget for cost of living. Recruitment has been a topic that we've discussed. It's been incredibly challenging, especially for police across the nation for recruitment. So in an effort to increase our recruitment, we are proposing an elimination of step number 1 in our salary schedule. We have 18 steps in the salary schedule, 1 being the lowest, 18 being the highest. So we have included within the budget, starting everyone at step 2 who comes on as a new recruit, which gives them a 2.5% bump over a step 1. So a new police officer, a new firefighter, the COLA goes into effect of 3%. We eliminate step 1 of the salary schedule. It's effectively 5.5% higher than we could hire this fiscal year. So it should help with recruitment, getting that entry level pay up 2.5%. Just by removing the bottom step. All right, I'm gonna let Tamara go over this slide.
All right, so for the PIP fund, you all saw this same information, or primarily the same information in the budget workshop. We've displayed it a little bit differently. The first line shows the revenue collection from our local option sales tax. And then it's broken out into the 4 categories for public safety, infrastructure, parks, and paving. For our public safety, we have the motorcycles and the replacement vehicles for police, along with the message boards, and then the upfitting, and then some radios and other smaller equipment requested by police. And then for fire, the replacement of a fire truck, the 2 fire prevention vehicles, and the 2 boat motors are included in here. And then moving on to the infrastructure, there's 3 new projects that have been requested to be paid out of this fund. One is for the road crossing at Waterford Crossing. And then the second 2 are for flashing beacons at 2 different locations. One is over here by Ellis, by the school here at Ellis and Huss. And then at near the Saunders Ferry Greenway by Mallard Park, having the flashing beacons. And then for parks, paving of the parking lots, A, B, C, and D, as well as the relocation of their maintenance shop. And then the last category on here is for paving, and this is increased paving of our roads by $3.4 million. The way this is currently budgeted leaves us with a surplus of roughly $60,000 for this fund.
So these are, significant items, and it's things that we would not be able to do without some type of property tax hike. So this budget does not propose a property tax increase. The 0.5-cent sales tax is able to absorb all these things within our budget. So a little bit of a surplus to work with in that fund. And again, that's without a property tax increase. Any questions on the PIT fund?
I didn't hear how many motorcycles.
It's the same items that they have now. It's the current lease for the motorcycles. I believe it's 6 or 8 of them.
How many?
I'll have to confirm the total number. I'm not.
I think we get them in groups of 6, and there's 12 total. But
Yeah, there might. I think there's.
we can confirm the
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a substantial amount.
And we don't purchase those, we lease them?
Yes, sir. They're leased.
Okay, is that a better? An option for the city? Is that a cost saving measure? Why do we lease them as opposed to purchase them? Is the depreciation too high?
Yeah, with I think some of the maintenance on them when they're leased, it's just an easy avenue to bring them back because they're under warranty when they're leased. It keeps them rotated out in pretty good working order. So that's kind of been the avenue of why they've been leased. It's just because it is it's for maintenance. It is a really simple solution just to take them back, get them fixed. So we can look at purchasing them, but we traditionally always lease them.
Okay, thanks.
So those leases were in place before I was here.
So the disposal services fund, this is where we saw a reduction in the property tax collection because in the general fund, because we moved that revenue collection over to the disposal services fund. So this just captures the 6 million that would be charged out instead of property tax, but as a trash fee. And then the disposal service cost of roughly 4.4 and 1.6 for the tipping fees amount to $6 million. The disposal service is what we pay Waste Pro to collect the trash, and then the tipping fees are the fees that we pay based on the weight when we go and we dump it at a transfer station. The weight of that trash we get charged for. So it leaves this fund in surplus position of 13,740. So it's basically a break-even fund. And this segregates all the activity from disposal services in one fund. It's its own set of books essentially. Hotel motel.
Sure. Hotel motel fund. This is the revenues come from the taxes that are charged when folks stay in our hotels, and then you can see the expenditures on here. This fund is the way it's budgeted comes up with a surplus of about $94,000. I don't know
know. No,
Yeah, there's
pretty
not,
straightforward.
yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But this is where the revenues, you were asking about the hotel motel revenues. This is
Right.
where it's at. It's in
Okay.
this whole separate fund.
State Street 8, this is what we get from the state, gasoline sales. And this is where the other $1 million of paving comes into play from the special revenue fund. So you can see number 23, line number 23 has over $1 million in paving. Line number 27 is the no pothole initiatives at 135 no pothole fixes. And then on 25 is the 2 salt spreaders and 2 plow attachments at $100,000.
Yeah. And then I do want to note on there that even though for fiscal year 25, it's showing a deficit of just over $600,000. That particular fund has a fund balance of over roughly 800,000. So, and it's restricted to very specific uses related to roads. So that is utilizing a portion of that fund balance, for its appropriate uses.
Drug fund, we have pretty limited revenues in the drug fund. That's related to cash collections or impounds that are drug trafficking. They can be spent on police vehicles. So last year we purchased some. I think this year we purchased some vehicles. We don't get a lot of money, so there's not a whole lot we can do with the drug fund, which is a good thing. Stormwater fund, this is where we collect from residential and commercial properties in the city, and then we do our stormwater projects with this fund. So pretty straightforward. And then when it comes to the non-operating budget, we're gonna have workshop number 2, which is gonna be May 2nd at City Hall. So that's when we'll get into the projects, the one-time projects that we're gonna do. You'll see the focus is gonna be continuing the projects that are already in the pipeline. These projects are multi-year projects, take a lot of years to get off the ground. So the focus will be on continuing the projects we currently have in place. And there will be a transportation plan that might make its way into the budget that is slated to go to Capital Projects Committee late April. So Keith and his team have been working on that. So we plan to submit that in April to the Capital Projects Committee. So they'll probably do a presentation on that. So that's what we'll see on the non-operating budget. Again, this is just the operating budget and some of the special revenue funds. And that is it for an overview of the budget, and we are available for any questions you have.
Again, thank y'all for working on this.
Great, it's great.
Just lots of questions, but the one about the stormwater fund, I see that's a deficit. Is there also like a balance fund that's not being added into this, that we do have funds available, so it doesn't look like it's $1.5 million in the hole?
Yes, sir. It actually has a fund balance of about 1.6 million.
Okay,
So it'll be utilizing the entirety of that fund.
okay. That's what I was thinking, same as that you had over here with
And in the budget book itself, the budget packet itself, it has that summary of the fund balance on
Okay.
it. But yeah, it
it's
definitely
something
does.
similar to what we had in paving.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
perfect. Thank you all very much.
Jess,
No, please go ahead.
State Street aid, that can only be used for the streets, right?
Yes, sir.
Is anything special that we need to know about State Street?
You're worth about $130.
Pardon?
So State Street Aid is based on population, so the fuel taxes that go to the state, they come to us based on our population. And I think we're at about $130 per person is what we get from the state.
Good.
So
Good.
don't let anybody tell you you're worthless.
Good job, good job.
Do y'all have any more questions about the budget?
No?
Okay, let's move on to item number 4, and that is state law for the planning commission vote. Keith, did you want to update us on that, or do we have time?
Yeah, I can just do it,
Yep.
do it fairly quickly. There was some discussion last time, I think, Mayor Pro Tem Waters brought up the issue a little bit earlier. about liaisons being voting members. And then the discussion was about the planning commission representative from Belmont is actually a member. And then that's all tied to the state statute. It's actually 13-4-101 that dictates that a member of the board of mayor and alderman can be a representative and a full member voting member of the planning commission, as well as the mayor can, or the mayor's appointee can as well. And so just, I think we provided that information to
I got it.
to the committee, and just, we just put that on there because it was kind of carrying forward just to see if anybody had any.
I think Grant sent that to me.
Yes, sir.
I think he did.
Can
Good.
answer any questions on that? Otherwise, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Is there any other business?
Nope.
Okay, seeing none,
Make a motion with adjourn.
we have a motion from Mr. Waters to adjourn
I'll second that.
and a second from Mr. Garza. All those in favor say aye.
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 All
This
right.
meeting is closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.